All right, let's start off with talking a little bit about what are your main questions about profit share. I can kind of go from a very granular discussion, or I can go from a kind of what's unique about Keller Williams type of discussion. So talk to me about what you are curious about first.
I'm sorry.
Your phone keep falling down?
Charleston, what do you know about profit share, or what do you desire to know about profit share?
First thing, so as you know, my wife is coming on board soon.
Yep.
So when we do that, how should we structure our contract? Should it be in her name or should it be in my name? What should it be? How should that be?
So your wife should name you.
Right.
And then the business should go in your wife's name. That way you are profit sharing off of your own business.
So all the contract needs to go under her name then?
You talk to Aaron about what the contract, whose name should be on the contract, but who should be paid is your wife.
Okay. That's not, I know it's her money, but I'm saying that very loosely, but okay. So that sounds good. So that way
again, it's all choices.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't want to do it that way,
no, it's perfectly fine. I was just joking about that. But so that would allow me to then receive profit sharing on anything she buys or sells, basically.
That's correct.
Okay.
Or helps a buyer buy or helps a seller sell.
Right. Exactly.
And then if there's any recruiting to be done, ideally they should name your wife. That way you both get a level of payment.
A level, right. And how do you want it to be in terms of what should the tree look like? It should be, let's say I'm on top. How many across should I go before I start? What is the best approach to? So should I have 5 across and then start going down, or should I just go down, 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 down?
Well, it only pays 7 levels down.
Okay.
So let's think about that for 1 second. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Kathy, are you saying something? You're on mute.
What?
I was saying, Kathy, if she was saying something, she's on mute.
So
it looks like she's talking.
Okay, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, so you're here. You can attract as many. You're here. You can attract as many people as you want on your first level. They can be in our market center. They could be in any market center there is. Okay. I'm going to mute you. Okay. Okay. Any market center you want. Doesn't have to be Roswell. Doesn't even have to be in Atlanta. Doesn't have to be in the state of Georgia. Okay. This is level 1. Okay. You basically get paid on 7 levels only. Okay. So think about it like this. If this guy, let's say his name is Joe. Joe, that's level 1. Level 2, if Joe brings somebody to Keller Williams, if that person brings somebody to Keller Williams, that person brings somebody to Keller Williams, down 7 levels. If the 7th level person brings somebody to Keller Williams, you don't get paid anymore.
Okay.
Okay. So I would suggest you can't control, other than by teaching and inspiring and assisting your recruits. You can't impact what all these people do unless you're going to develop a personal relationship with them. The thing you have the most control over is how many people you go this way on. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But let's go down to that 7th level though. If I were to help that person recruit, then it helps the people above also, right?
If this person, whoever this person recruits, is not going to have any impact on you.
On me, but it will impact some of the people that are in my tree. So I want them to I want to help them out too, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Now, when this person creates profit for their local office, all of these people would get paid.
Right. Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, I'll give you an example. What I did is I went hog wild on this level
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm going to figure out how I can attract as many possible people to Keller Williams as I possibly can. And I first focused on building level 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then I found the people that were interested in building their profit share trees and poured into them, and then gave them the help and the encouragement and the masterminding and the assistance. And I'm even paying for a virtual assistant to help them out. And I'm paying for some of the data and software that they're using to do their recruiting, right? Because when they grow their downlines, it's growing mine too.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yep.
So I had at one point I had as many as 130 people on this top level.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm down to about 71 or so. And then below that, those people have another 90 or so on the second level now. So there's people in my profit share tree that I've never met before. There's some people, honestly, in my first level that I've never met before. Okay.
Okay.
So this is exactly the same as a real estate business. The more conversations you have, the more appointments you'll book, the more times you'll get closed, right?
Right.
Now, do you believe, I'll ask Kathy this question since she's been around longer. Kathy, do you believe that Keller Williams is the best place to run your real estate business?
Absolutely.
You have any shadow of a doubt?
No.
If a person is brand new, are they better suited at Keller Williams or anywhere else?
Here.
If they are an experienced agent just like yourself, are they better suited at Keller Williams or somewhere else?
Here.
Now, when you believe in something, you and it's had an impact on your life. Let me ask you this. This is a question I know the answer to, but I'll ask it just for demonstration purposes. Kathy, has being associated with Keller Williams had an impact on your life?
Absolutely.
Has it had an impact on those you support?
Yes.
Has it had an impact on those you care about?
Yes.
Has it been a part of your value package that you've delivered to your buyers and sellers for many years?
Yes.
Great. So if you were to suggest that somebody check out Keller Williams, one of your peers or clients or co-op agents or something like that, does it come across salesy or does it come across like you're contributing to their life?
Like you're contributing.
Good.
Yep.
Good. So that's what this is all about. Okay. If you share your story, Kathy, you've been at a different real estate company or no, I forget.
I was with, I started at ERA in South Carolina.
Okay.
And then moved back to Atlanta and went to Keller Williams in Canton. And then because if I'd been in the Roswell office like I should have been, this would have never happened. But I don't know if you were around when Realty Executives came.
I was about to say, were you part of that crew?
Yes, because one of my favorite agents in the Canton office was good buddies with Jeff Ramsey. And I wasn't happy in Canton. So I went with Judy to Realty Executives, and 3 months in, I thought, what the hell have I done? And there were a lot of, it's going to be like EXP is right now. Those people those Keller Williams agents that went to EXP, within a year, they're all going to be going, what the heck have I done?
Yeah. If they're in the business.
If they're still in the business. Yep.
Yeah. My point is that it's not like we're selling VCRs to our people, to our co-op agents, and to our friends, right? We are simply just sharing the impact that Keller Williams has had on our business and our quality of life. Simple as that. And the more people you share that with, the larger the financial opportunity will be. Kathy, do you mind sharing what you made in profit share last year? Do you know offhand?
I can't remember, but it was nice. Like I remember one day opening up my, looking at my bank statement online, and there was like a $2,500 gift in there. It's like, what? Another time.
So you just opened up your bank account and they had directly deposited money into it on the 21st of the month?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Did everyone hear that?
It's nice.
Yeah. How about that? The system's a little slow. I was going to look up. Hang on. I was going to look up what your numbers have been. Although it's probably going to take me a while because you're certainly not the only person whose last name begins with whose last name is Ray.
The year before was better. So one person in my downline has been with us for 2 years, and this person is not in productivity. She, I think she sold one house last year. She closed on a house last week, and she has 2 other houses under contract. So finally, she's moving.
Denise is your sponsor, right?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And your other person is in productivity now.
Yep.
All right, beautiful. So here's Kathy's stats, if I can read these for you. Hang on.
Is it that bad?
No, it's here. Okay, Kathy, you have not made any money this year.
Not this year.
But
I will on April the 21st. I think I'll have something in there, or maybe May the 21st.
Last year in 2019, you made $2,300. You didn't make anything in 18, 1,600, little over 1,600, little over 4,600, little over 5,700, little over 1,400. So that's good. Always room for improvement. Good stuff.
I think 2015, I think, was the time I opened my account up, and there was, or maybe it was 2016, there was $2,500 one month. I had a really good month. Yeah.
I see what you're talking about. Here's the thing is the more conversations you have about real estate with somebody, the more opportunities you're going to get to add people to your database, and the more opportunities you're going to get to have appointments with them and likely have a contract and a closing, right?
Yes.
What I would encourage you to do is dive in head first into the Keller Williams world, right? Meet as many people as you can, learn as much as you can, really, and understand these business models, these business systems, and understand why Keller Williams is unique. Okay, not everyone is building $1 billion platform. Very few of our competitors are privately held. The vast majority of them are publicly traded. If you've looked at the stock market in the last couple of weeks, publicly traded firms are not doing well right now, right? And when a stock price is down, there's really only 2 ways to fix a low stock price. And believe me, when the stock price is low, everyone's clamoring for it to go back up, right? So here are the 2 ways to make a stock price go back up. Number 1, collect more money, right? Yeah. Where is that coming from?
From the agents.
That's right. That's coming from nickel and dime your agents, particularly with their commission splits, right? And the second way to have more profit, which will result in a higher stock price, is to spend less money. Okay. And I'll just go on the record saying in today's age, when you've got some of our competition giving out shares of their company, you got some of our competition writing 6-figure and sometimes 7-figure signing bonuses to agents, and you got Keller Williams dropping $1 billion on a tech platform. Now is not the time to sit on the sidelines and watch your competition spend money. Right?
Right.
And either one of those systems, spending less or taking in more, bringing in more revenue, is not beneficial to the agent. So I've always said that pretty much every single person I've ever spoken to about a career in real estate or their real estate business has one thing in common. And that is they got into this business for the exact same reason. And that reason is to have a better quality of life.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And quality of life shows up in only a few different ways. More money, more time, more flexibility, more options, right? And probably most importantly, more control, right? Control over your time, control over your calendar, control over who you work with, when you work with them, where you work, all that stuff, right? The only way you're going to take control is if, number one, you take control of your lead generation. Okay, if you're reliant on another brokerage or a website or something like that for leads, there's a disconnect between you setting goals and needing, let's say, 50 appointments in a year to hit your financial goals, and sitting by the phone and waiting for the phone to ring enough for that to happen. That's a passive approach, and the person that generates the lead or the person that pays for the lead, whoever's time and whoever money is involved in procuring that lead is getting paid, believe me. All these billboards that we see around town, okay, we don't have to name any names, but we know exactly who we're talking about. So company abc.com, they've got no telephone number on the website. What do you think they're trying to do? They're trying to drive traffic to the website, right? And what are they going to do with that? They're going to assign it to one of their agents who's willing to take a 50-50 split plus a huge transaction fee.
Right.
Right? That is a dependent company that is likely full of dependent agents. Okay? And that's fine. It's just a different business model. The problem is they don't talk about quality of life. And they don't talk about hiring, and they don't talk about leverage, and they don't build billion-dollar tech platforms, right? And they don't have proprietary systems for training and holding people accountable, and they're not winning awards like we're winning, right? The next phase is essentially the complete opposite of that, which is an independent company. Okay, so there's agents in probably Century 21, and by the way, these are scripts and dialogues, okay? Just internalizing some of these ideas. This is some of the more familiar you are with some of these concepts, the more of a higher level conversation you'll be able to have about real estate brokerage, which in turn will help people think differently so that they can have more opportunities, right? And have more success. So really the biggest players essentially prior to the internet were Century 21 and Coldwell Banker. Okay, they had a lot of offices, they had a lot of advertising. The agents were the ones that had all the secrets, right? There's these books that no one had access to except for an agent, right?
Yeah.
There was no Zillows or Redfins or access to MLS. You had to go through an agent. There was no other way. Now somebody can, if they look hard enough, they could pretty much figure out what the seller had for breakfast. Right?
Sure.
I mean, there's really no secrets anymore. So basically what ended up happening, and the statistic has, I think, been this way for a long time, is that the consumer, according to NAR, says that they choose their agent based on brand 4% of the time. So that means the other 96% of the time, they don't care one bit who the agent works for. What they care about is that the agent is talented, right? So perpetuating this myth that the brand makes all the difference is not supported by data. What is supported by data is being the sharpest agent that a consumer can find. Now, how do you become the sharpest agent that a consumer can find? You go match yourself up with a tech-savvy, learning-based organization, right? And because we teach our agents how to generate leads and be purposeful about growing their business, we end up getting into a relationship with more sellers. Then we end up putting more signs in the ground, and then we end up having more of a reputation. Keller Williams has never spent money on national brand advertising. There are some organizations that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year doing just that. And why are they doing that? Again, they're doing that because they're going to farm that lead off to one of their agents who's going to pay a finder's fee to that company for having found that lead for them, right?
Yeah.
So some of those agents said, I don't like this model. So I'm going to go to an organization that I already know how to sell homes, so I don't really need that much training. I'd rather go to a company that gives me more of my commissions. And really the first company to embrace that idea was RE/MAX. And that's really what happened back in the mid 80s in Austin when Remax came to town and took a good chunk of Gary's organization, right? He was operating a normal traditional real estate company back then. And so Remax's big thing was, and I'm generalizing a little bit here, but what their big thing was they were going to charge you a decent amount to be there each month, like usually between $1,200 and $1,500 a month to be a member of Remax, but they'd give you 95 to 100% of your commissions. And that business model was attractive, but not to everybody. So for example, if you're doing 5 deals a month, it's a great place to be. If you're doing 5 deals a year, it's a crappy place to be. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so with that said, they weren't attractive to younger, newer agents. So then they got a bunch of high producers in the building and they didn't have to pour into them with all these training and resources because their people already knew how to sell homes. 15 years ago, Remax Greater Atlanta was the largest Remax franchise in the entire world. So they're not even around. Okay. And again, some generalizations here. There's probably a ton I don't know, but I find it interesting that they basically went under at 12 years ago at the crash. Keller Williams came into the crash number 3 locally, number 5 internationally. Now we came out of the crash number 1. Okay. The crash will take people or any shift in the market will show people that they need to go to a place where there is number 1, community, culture, technology, and probably most importantly, training. Because they probably were not doing a ton of training on how to handle foreclosures and short sales and these kind of things. And so the agents that realized that that was one of the key ways they were going to get by, they went to the companies that were teaching that stuff. And then their careers blossomed at Keller Williams. Okay. So Keller Williams is an interdependent company. When you have profit share, number 1, it means you have to have open books. No other company that I'm aware of has open books. You guys can look to see how much every single person is making, including staff, including leaders. Okay. You can watch every dollar that comes into the organization, the Roswell office I'm talking about, and every dollar that leaves the Roswell office. We're accountable to all of that. Okay. We are the only company that I know that has open books. We are the only company that I know that has agent leadership councils. Agent leadership councils are essentially a board of directors of the office that preside over committees of culture, technology, productivity, and growth. And sometimes some subcategories like health and safety or public relations or something like that, right? Therefore, giving agents a say in how the organization is run, not just the ownership, okay? Now, when you have a system where agents are going to share in a portion of the profits that are created, what happens? You have agents that actually make fiscally responsible decisions. I remember going into, I forget the woman's name, Sandy. You remember Sandy that used to work at the front desk?
Yeah, that was Melody.
Before Melody.
Yes.
Sandy was at the office for many years. I remember going up to Sandy one time and I said, "Why do you always put these commission checks in envelopes? That's a waste of money." Right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was involved in that decision, but they quit putting the commission checks in envelopes. Right? Yeah. I was like, we're wasting money. Why are we doing that? Right? I remember Denise photocopying all the ALC reports and she'd print out a bunch of stuff in color. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
I know I'm kind of being joking here, but like you have agents that have a vested interest in the profitability of a market center. They start behaving like owners.
Right.
They're protecting the profit. Right? Yeah. Now, what else happens? Kathy, me and you have no we have no profit share relationship at all, right?
No.
Okay. We're not in the same person's tree. We got no connection. No. However, and forget about me being PC coach, but if I can help you do more deals as a colleague or vice versa, and therefore the office ends up with more transactions,
right?
The office has more profit.
Right.
What is the office going to do with profit?
They're going to give 52% of it to the investors and 48 to the folks whose people made money that month.
Right. Well, before they do that, that's exactly true. But before they do that, they're going to look at the books and say, how do we grow this organization for everyone here?
Right.
Should we go and hire somebody like a Sam, for example?
Right.
That money could have easily gone to profit, but the investors say, hey, this is a way to pour more money and more resources into our people. And so we're going to part with however much money Sam's getting paid.
And he's definitely increased my technology.
Exactly. So we're going to pay him a certain amount of money so that he learns what he needs to learn so he can share it back. Right. Where do you think the money came from to like renovate the front of the office that we did 2 years ago? Right. That came from what would have been profit. Right. And we had that money earmarked because we had created more business, more transactions. Right. So when people have an incentive to cooperate, they behave differently. Okay. It's kind of like, I'll give you another type of example. So people respond psychologically to incentives, right? So I won't put anyone on the spot, but let's say, I'll put you on the spot. Kathy, did you give any money to charity this past year? You don't have to tell me how much. Just tell me you did, or you did.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Outside of your interest or feeling about tithing, okay, there is a very strong incentive in our federal government to give money to charity, right? Because when you give money to charity, you can reduce your income by that, and you pay taxes on the smaller number, right?
Right.
So the government says, hey, we want you to give to charity, right? So people give what they give. If all of a sudden the government snapped their fingers and said, we're done with that, do you think that the total charitable donations would go up in our country or down in our country?
Down.
Oh yeah, big time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not suggesting that other firms don't have nice cooperative people, but I am suggesting that they don't have a financial incentive to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So notice that we are over 30 minutes into a hour-long profit share class, and we haven't talked about profit share yet. Make sense?
Yes.
That's because we don't lead with profit share. We talked about this the other day. People don't buy what you are trying to sell. They buy why you're trying to sell it, right? When you share your story, that's the why. I'm at Keller Williams because they taught me, let's say I'm still at Keller Williams because they have taught me how to be a business owner. They've taught me how to be a better leader. They've taught me how to be a better husband. They've taught me how to be a better father. They've taught me how to be a better coach, right? If Charleston, like I interviewed you, right, a couple months ago, and I said, okay, Keller Williams gives you all this, boom, 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 and you say, this is awesome, and you sign up, and then you come in the first day, and I say, hey, by the way, all that's not true. You don't get stuff, right? What are you going to do? You're going to leave.
Yeah.
Of course, because why did you get into the business? You got into the business to have a great life. So you're going to go look for the organization that gives you the best shot at that, right?
Yep.
And so we're on stage every day making sure that we live up to the value proposition that we've promised. And if we do, we will retain our people. And if we do not, we have a chance of losing them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So again, the more people that you share your story with, or well, let me rephrase that. Sharing your story is what I would call an entrepreneurial approach to this. Let's talk about the E2P concept for a second. Okay. Having separate lead generation time and systems for attracting people to the company is a purposeful approach. And you will get results by behaving entrepreneurially, but you will be getting better results by behaving purposefully. The difference is whether you're going to what level of priority it's going to be. Okay.
Okay.
So let me set a vision for you really fast. I'll just share my story really briefly. Okay. I came to Keller Williams in 2010, end of 2010. And I was introduced to the company by an agent named Megan Dwyer. Megan and I was at Metro Brokers. Megan Dwyer had a listing in Vinings. My buyer was interested in the house. Interestingly enough, it was a referral from a corporate employee at Metro Brokers who was in charge of career development. But the lesson is be friendly to everyone, and you're always on stage, right? Because Metro Brokers had about 2,500 agents at the time, and I was the one she picked to run that deal. Make sense?
Yep.
Director of career development. You think she knows some agents?
Yep.
And this is not meant to brag. I'm just telling the story, right? You're always on stage. So I got an opportunity to work that deal. Megan and I, she actually was at Remax at the time. Day after closing, she went to KW. Next day, she called me. She said, "You need to be at KW." And I said, "All right." And it took about 9 months and a number of trips to Denise's office. My wife even came to meet Denise. They flew me to Austin to check out KW at Mega Camp. Like, I mean, I put them through the ringer and they put me through the ringer, right? And ultimately I came. I pretty much immediately was asked to be on the ALC, and I've been on the ALC ever since, with the exception of the year my daughter was born. Always the growth chair. So I was constantly learning about Keller Williams and why we're unique and all this stuff. I was at a profit sharing class in, I think it was in Orlando, like 6 or 7 years ago at Family Reunion. And I met a gentleman named Aaron Kaufman who asked a question that was, appeared to kind of ruffle some feathers in one of the training rooms. And he happened to be sitting in front of me, and I really liked his attitude. And I tapped him on the shoulder at the end of the class. I said, "I'm Bill. Who are you?" Turns out he was like basically a Keller Williams profit share like icon, or soon to be icon. And he was from Decatur. So we spent a little bit of time together. Long story short, I started recruiting. I had brought over one person from Metro Brokers almost immediately. I got a call like 2 years later from somebody who says, "Hey, is this home available?" And I said, well, that home, like, it was available for rent, but that was like 2 years ago. I said, "Where did you find the information on that property?" And she says, "My broker doesn't teach me how to do anything. I don't know how to use this damn FMLS." And I said, "What day would you like to meet for coffee?"
And who was that?
Shantae Knox.
Oh, what office is she in?
She's in our office. She's not particularly active, but she's in our office. She has another business that she's really crushing.
Oh, okay. I knew I heard her name.
So anyway, she was my second recruit. So then if you remember Kate Basha, who was our previous assistant team leader, so she left the role, and it was about 4 or 5 months before Roseanne was hired, if you remember. So I was the growth chair of the ALC at that time, and I started taking the calls, and I started going on some appointments, and I started running the career days and all that. And I got really good. I got really good at the dialogues. I was having fun, right? And I didn't have a huge amount of success, but I was having fun. I was enjoying it. So then Roseanne got hired, and I didn't get any more leads, right? And so I said, "Well, I need more leads." So I said, "Where the hell am I going to find people?" So I went to, I'm on these chats, and I was trying to figure out how, like, if I want something, I'm going to go figure out who's figured it out. And I'm going to ask as many possible questions as I can. And I'm going to take it super seriously. And I'm going to be pretty intense about it. And I'm just going to go kill it. Right. And by that time, I had hired an assistant for my sales business. And my assistant and I went on Craigslist. Well, there is, they were charging for ads back then, but only for the major cities. Only for like New York City, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, LA, San Fran, Chicago. The secondary cities, they weren't charging. The secondary cities are like Lexington, Kentucky, and New Orleans, and Lansing, Michigan, and just like random places, right? And they weren't charging for the tertiary cities either. Like a tertiary city is like Albuquerque, New Mexico, or like Boise, Idaho, or something, right? So we made a list of every city that was free to post in Craigslist, and cross-check that to see where the nearest KW office was. If there was a KW office within 30 miles, we put it on the list. We had 89 cities, and we were posting free Craigslist ads in every single one of them every single day.
Wow.
And we did that for about a year and a half straight, no days off. And by that time, I started working a lot with Pam. So Pam was starting to help me with my buyers and sellers, primarily buyers and renters, and I was spending a lot of time recruiting. And then that got cut off because they started charging. So I had gotten a few team leader offers because I was meeting a ton of team leaders and OPs. I had gotten a chance to help somebody with almost a year's worth of recruiting out of Virginia. I met a lot of leaders up there. Long story short, I had hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of calls with people that were curious about a career in real estate. And I just had a system, and I had a lot of persistence and a lot of faith that if I did this enough, I'd have some results. And then, of course, the team leader opportunity came, and one of the primary roles of a team leader is to grow the office. So I was a natural fit for that too. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Right now, I have just over 70 people in my first level. I've got a little over 90 people in my second level. And I've got about 20 or so people below that in levels 3, 4, and 5. Last year, between my wife and I, we made just over $70,000 in profit share.
Wow.
Okay. Directly deposited into our account on the 21st of the month, like clockwork. Okay. Now, let me paint a pretty cool picture for you. And again, this is not to brag or anything. It's just to communicate a vision for you. Okay. Would you agree that the average person is lucky, particularly now, lucky to save 10% of their income? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. If anything, it's on the high side, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, the biggest aha of today is you are not going to save your way to wealth.
Right.
Okay. You're going to have to make some investments. 75% of the country's wealth is tied up in real estate. We are the gatekeepers of real estate. We have the coolest, best, most lucrative opportunity there is. This is your chance to make a huge operation out of it. Okay?
Yeah.
You can get paid in a lot of different ways. A lot of cool opportunities have come to me because of my efforts at KW, right? Now, does everyone know what a withdrawal rate is?
No.
So
What do you mean withdrawal rate?
a withdrawal rate this is kind of a financial planning
Okay.
theory, if you will. Okay. So a financial planner, you remember it's probably about 10 years ago, I think it was Fidelity. They had that commercial where everyone was walking around carrying their numbers.
Right.
Okay. So the theory behind that is when I have this amount of money in a number of investments, I will be able to live off the passive income that amount of money creates, right? The most financial planners would tell you that's somewhere between 2.5% and 3.5%. So let's just call it 3%. Okay. Meaning, if I have $1 million in investments and I want to live off of the interest income of that, that's only going to spit out about $30,000 a year. Meaning, if I have a lifestyle that is above and beyond $30,000, then I'm going to need more than $1 million in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What are you agreeing, or you want 5 times that?
I want more than that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is simply off of your investments. So like if you have passive income from real estate investment or some other business that you own, that we're not talking about that. Okay?
Profit sharing. No.
Yeah, we're not talking about that. I'm just trying to show you that how profit share fits into the mix. Okay, so let's just say I myself earned a little over 55,000 last year. So let's just round it up and say 60 to keep the math simple. Okay, so me earning $60,000 in profit share is the equivalent to having $2 million in investable assets, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, I had to save that money. The only way it got to be used to invest in things is by saving it.
Right.
Okay. So it's equivalent to me having to earn 20 so I could save 2. Is that fair?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to pay taxes too. So that's the equivalent to me making 40 million. The government takes their half. Now I got 20. Now I save 2. Now, more than likely I would save more than 2, but let's keep the analogy going, right? Because my lifestyle is probably going to increase with making that kind of money, right? And then I invest that 2 and it spits out 60 grand for me. Okay. Again, you are not going to save your way to wealth. So
Right.
what exactly is your plan? That it should be the takeaway of all takeaways here, is that you have to ultimately decide how much money your family needs or wants when you're tired of working or you don't want to work as much or whatever phrase you want to use, right? How much will you require? So let's just say that answer is $3,000 a month. Okay, I'm going to pay off my house and I just need to have some utilities and some groceries and that kind of stuff. If that's what you want, perfect. Okay, you probably only need about 100 grand in the bank. Problem is the about 40% of adults 50 years or older have net worths of less than $10,000. Okay, that's not even enough to put you in the ground.
Right.
Okay, so the question is what are you doing to? We know what you focus on expands, right? So I've had calculate my net worth on my to-do list literally years. And I finally did it when we were in Houston at Family Reunion. And I went to a class and we were talking about wealth and I went into the corner and I calculated my net worth. I was like, enough of this shit. I'm going to do it right now. I said,
Do you remember everything from there? Are you?
What?
You remember all the stuff that you own?
Hell yeah, man.
All right.
I mean, I didn't know, like, did I know I had 97.456 shares of Home Depot? No, but I knew roughly what I had in Home Depot. I went back and looked it up later, right? I have very little exposure to the stock market, by the way, right?
Yeah,
Because I don't know a whole lot about the stock market. I actually know a decent amount about the stock market. I just don't have any control over that.
Right.
Right. If I have $5,000 that I'm looking to burn, I'd rather burn it on Facebook ads and command than I would and have complete control over it and turn that into a handful of closings. Right. If I can spend $5,000 and go make 100 over a handful of closings, that's a better turnaround than any stock's going to give me.
Yep.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
I throw it at Nike. I don't know anything that's going on in the boardrooms of Nike. Right. But I got full control over it if I put it into my business. That's one unique thing that we have as business owners is we get to put it into ourselves. We get to invest in ourselves. Right. So understand that you're going to have perfect clarity on how much passive income you have if you expect to slow down or stop your active income. And we are basically trading time for money until, right, we talked about this idea the other day, the cash flow quadrant.
Right.
Employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. Here you're trading your time for money. Here you've essentially bought yourself a job. But the second you quit working, you don't have any income anymore. That would be like That would be like somebody who owns a little bakery or something that's like they work essentially by themselves and now they're not essential, so they can't make any money anymore. A business owner may or may not have a job in the organization, but they have staff and they have people and they're going to see a portion of the profits. Okay. Investor, it's basically just their money is working for them. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So my suggestion to you is, in order for you to truly have a shot at having a smaller number of financial struggles and stress in your life, it's going to come from investing in things that create passive income and that create long-term wealth. Okay. If you have never calculated your net worth, I would highly recommend that you do that. Highly recommend.
Hey, Bill, I have one question for you about profit share.
Yeah.
So is there a model that will show you, so the whole idea about it is while you are recruiting these people and selling homes, the checks right now as passive income, the idea is to save all of that money, correct? Because you keep talking about using it as retirement. I'm just wondering what's the rate of agents that fall off from your downline or.
So I have experienced in, let's just call it 8 years of being at 9 years of being at Keller Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I have probably experienced about 50% fallout.
Okay.
Maybe a little less than that. The industry standard is 30% a year.
Right.
Okay. So the likelihood of somebody surviving in the real estate business at Keller Williams is a hell of a lot better than the likelihood of surviving at a different company.
That's higher than I thought, but that's good.
NAR says, by the way, and this is tough to hear, but this is the reality. NAR says that 10% of people that are newly licensed will have their license in 1 year. So you line up 10 newly licensees, one of them will still be an active agent within 1 year. And 10% of those will be in the business in 3 years. So you line
It's
up
like that in a lot of 100% commission sales job. Yeah.
You line up 100 people, one of them will be a realtor in 3 years. Okay. It's not
So that's what I'm saying. So you don't count on it like, oh, I'm 65. I'm not going to sell real estate anymore. I'm going to just count on my passive income. Or do you?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it just depends, right? If all I needed to survive was $5,000 a month, I could probably walk away right now. Right. But I want more than that.
But that's like, you can't count on that $5,000 because it changes, right? Based upon.
That's true. I mean, it is dependent on people that may or may not stay in the business, but I have to continue to fill that if I want to. I mean, it could shrink because people leave the business, but it could also grow because people are attracting people, right? So I just have to keep an eye on it. It's gone up every year.
So the idea then is to capture that money while you're making it and save it as save your passive income, if that's what your retirement plan is.
I parlayed it into other stuff. Honestly, there's some months that I used it to pay a bill. And there's some months that I used it to invest in a life insurance policy that then I took money out of that to buy into Keller Williams Israel or to buy a home before I sold the home. And, a lot of different stuff. I mean, it became part of the pie. Right. But if you add all the money that my wife and I have made in profit share since we started, it's a little over $230,000.
That's good.
That's good.
And if you look at the money, that more than pays for the amount of money that I invested in Keller Williams Israel, right? So it basically just, I traded one for the other.
So because you said that before, when you say you've invested in Keller Williams Israel, what does that exactly mean? Like, how do you get that opportunity to do that?
Opportunities come in for two reasons, or let me rephrase that. You can take advantage of opportunities. That's not the way I want to say it either. Opportunities come to those with capital. That's like 1%, right? So if you're given the opportunity, you have to have the resources to do something about the opportunity. But what's most important is influence. Okay. So the question would be, why would somebody want to be in business with me and give me an opportunity to be a part of their team or their group? They would only choose to do that because I can provide something that's going to benefit everybody. Right?
Yes.
Right.
So I did happen to have, well, truth of the matter is I made this investment about 2.5 years ago, and I could barely afford 1%, and I ended up buying 3%. And I've been recovering from that ever since. Right? So, I mean, I made
What are you talking about when you bought into Israel?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, I knew that those opportunities didn't come across very often, and I wanted to seize it when I could. Right. And I was offered more than I was expecting to be offered. So anyway, influence comes from two different ways. One is, I was taught a number of years ago by Chris Heller that you show your influence in two different ways. One is what's been your relationship with the ALC. That is a clear indication of how you give back and how you are a leader in the market center. We don't get paid to sit on the ALC,
Right.
okay? The sacrifice. But it also puts you in a different room, right? And the other way is we tell how influential you are based on your downline, right? How many people have you attracted to this company, right? And I had attracted a lot of people to the company. And so when I got a chance to speak to the guy that was making the decision, the question was, who the hell are you? Right? He said, well, you know, I've had this role, this role, this role. I've built this, I've done this, I've influenced that. Look at my downline. My name's in out front this month. Go check it out. Like I had a story to tell. Right? And after saying no and coming back later and offering it to me, I kept at him. I met him in Vegas. I met him in Anaheim. I talked to him on Skype a few times. I talked to a couple of his other partners. Like I didn't let up. Right? So are you willing to go on a plane to go meet with somebody who's going to give you an opportunity? Right? If I were to tell you, hey, if you give me $5,000 now, I'll give you $10,000 in a month, but I need $5,000 like in the next 3 minutes. Could you pull it off? So the question is, you know, you see what I'm saying? Sometimes these opportunities come quick.
Right.
And so you gotta create this, you have to be prepared for them, number one, but you also have to be improving your status is the wrong word, but like your reputation constantly, so that when given that opportunity, you are kind of a no-brainer for that opportunity. Okay. Now, we didn't really go a whole lot into the, you know, different levels and the compensation and all of that. But the basics here are when you receive a little bit less than half of, when profit share gets a little less than half of the profit, and the ownership group gets just a hair more than half of the profit, we are essentially getting paid as if we own the organization without having to own the organization. Right? Now, owning the organization comes with its own issues, right? One is you had to write a check, right? 2 is you got the liability. 3 is you got all the risk. 4 is you got all the headache, right? You've got all of the, you know, your income your dividends could fluctuate based on the market, right? You're an investor. Your money is sitting there, right? Now, our owners in Roswell have been paid 29 times over, and their investment is worth roughly somewhere between 10 and 11 times worth more than they paid for it today. Pretty crazy, huh? But I'll tell you, when they wrote that check, you go ask our owners, they were probably scared to death. right? Now, why did they get that opportunity? They got that opportunity because number one, they had the capital. Number two, they had the risk tolerance. And number three, they knew the right people who had access to that opportunity, right? And if they weren't influential enough, or they didn't have the capital, or they weren't kind of what you might consider an asset to the team, they would have chosen somebody different. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the beautiful thing about profit share is we get to get paid like we are an owner of the organization without any of the liability, without any of the risk. We're not going to be asked to have cash calls or anything like that. Right. And we've been profitable every month we've been open for over 16 years. So the likelihood of cash calls is pretty much non-existent, but I guess you never know. But that's not something I have to worry about as somebody who doesn't have any equity in a market center. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So now I have a vested interest in about 170 agents and their businesses across the country. I have at least one person in almost every office in Metro Atlanta in about 20 states or so. So I'm diversified, if you will. I almost think about owning a virtual market center. Now, today, interestingly enough, I have my VA, my assistant, creating an email list of all the people in my downline so I can start inviting them to some Zoom classes, so I can keep their heads on straight during all this chaos. Because I really want them to have awesome lives. Right? And the people, by the way, that are, when I became team leader and I couldn't, I wasn't trying to grow any other office other than Roswell, I sent out a video to all my people. I said, hey, who wants to learn how to do what I'm doing? And then I poured into this 5 or 6 people that decided to do that. And now they've helped me grow the second level. Now I got people on the second level saying, hey, I want to learn this. I'm teaching them too. Right? And if I can help them get connected with Keller Williams and they can improve the quality of their life through running a real estate business housed at Keller Williams and pique their interest in attracting people to the company and seeing passive income as a result, that's like a win-win-win. There's no better than that. Right?
Yep.
Now, here's a caveat. I do not recommend. This is not a message to stop selling real estate and go recruit. Okay. This is you have to understand where the cash cow is. The cash cow is that real estate license that you got. Okay. If you can't afford to pay the dues and therefore you can't afford to stay at Keller Williams, profit sharing ain't going to help you either.
Right.
Okay. So you got to know, this is a supplementary exercise. However, would you be willing, I'll just give you a rough number. What if you spent 1 hour a week, calling people and inviting them to our productivity coaching sessions and say, and you can invite people at any production level, but let's say you called a bunch of people selling $1 million worth of homes, $30,000 worth of income. Let me go out on a limb and say pretty much all of us have a desire to make more money than that. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They do too. And they ain't getting what they need wherever they're at. Okay. So they need what we have. You invite them for free to one of these Zoom classes, one of the Facebook Lives, one of our sessions, and you show them how we do what we do and why we do it. Next thing you know, they're sitting in at the table with myself or Susan or Aubrey. And next thing you know, they're in your profit share tree. So if you spent 1 hour a week, so let's say you were able to book one appointment each week. So each month you got 4 appointments. We should be able to convert at least 1, maybe 2 of those, especially over time. So you trade 1 hour a week for 1 recruit per month. Is that reasonable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been named sponsor twice this week.
Oh, wow.
one person that named one of the people that named me, right? That I know of, right? So that it's just a choice. The only thing we can control is how we use our time, right?
Yeah.
Now, you were kind of alluding to this, Kim, and we'll end with this thought. Like how much, like, can you budget, like how much somebody might be worth, if you will, right?
I hate to say it like that.
I don't like saying it that way either, but like if I attract a capper, right, somebody that's going to pay their $15,000 to the market center, in my 9-ish years of being at Roswell, that resulted in, on the low end, around $2,200 a year, and on the high end, just shy of $3,000 a year. I've always looked at it around $2,500 per capper for their direct sponsor. If that person's in your second level, you're going to get 10% instead of 50%. So that's going to be around $500 a year. If a second level person is a capper. If they're on a team, meaning they're a half cap, you're looking at somewhere around, let's call it $1,200, $1,300 a year. Okay. Now, let's just say one more thing. This is I don't want to call it a sad situation, but this is a reality. We have agents, unfortunately, that have struggles paying their office bill, right? Now, if you multiply $110 times 12, that's around $1,300, right? So, or a little less than that. If you could go recruit one half capper, that would pay your office bill for the rest of the time you're at Keller Williams.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you've got people that I hate even thinking this, but it's just the fact, it's just the reality. They will have to leave our organization because they cannot pay the office bill. So they have invested time and money to get a real estate license to then not be able to get the whole thing shut down because they can't afford $110 a month. Okay. So what if somebody else is paying that $110 a month? Wouldn't that be a little less stressful? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the 4th year in a row that Keller Williams paid me to be at the company because I made more in profit share than I paid to the organization. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about an office bill. See what I'm saying? What's your biggest takeaway here?
I think that last thing, the statement you said with the, your a half capper pays your office bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I always think about that though, but you're not going to save your way to being a wealthy person. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but
That's right. That's right. And my other thing is, don't wait to have fun in life until you're retired.
I know.
Right. Retirement, the whole concept of retirement was a function of the Industrial Revolution when they had to get the old people off the assembly line.
mm-hmm.
Retirement is only an idea that's only been around about 150 years, 100 years. Right.
Yeah.
So like that wasn't around thousands of years ago. Right.
It's funny because if you see a famous person who works until like they're 95 or 99, they make them stop. They just pass away usually within that same year. Because I think if you love what you do, there's really no need to retire if you're healthy enough to do it.
Right. I could coach you guys until I'm done.
Right.
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 I have not a very close friend, but somebody that I grew up with. Her father passed away a week before he retired.
That's so sad. I hate hearing that.
Yep. All right. Anything you need, please let me know. I will just say one last thing. I have looked at the numbers from you guys. I believe all of you have submitted your numbers. a general statement, not pointing to anyone in particular, you're not having enough conversations.
Yep.
You're not having enough conversations.
Oh my God, really?
I'm guilty of that.
Okay.
I'm struggling with that for real, because I feel like if I'm talking to, like, I'm going through my database, there's only like 140 something people, 150 now. I feel like if I'm talking to like 15, 20 people a day, like, I don't.
You're talking to them every week.
I'm not the same.
Once you go through the list,
Yeah.
now I will tell you, Kim, you are my star student this week. I am very proud of you.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
Okay.
good, because I was about to really stress out because I was like,
Okay.
I can't talk to any more people.
You are my star student this week. However,
This week's gonna look bad, worse.
keep the gas down. Keep the gas down. In general, we're not talking to enough people.
Yep.
Got to talk to more people.
Yep.
Okay. Y'all have a great day. Kathy,
Thanks.
you can stay on if you want.
Okay.
All right, then.
You
Bye.
gotta show me how to get appointments. That's what I need to do. Figure out how to get appointments in this virtual world. But yeah,
All right.
let's talk about that one day. Okay.
All
Bye.
right,
Sorry,
let's talk.
Kathy.
That's okay. Bye. So did you get my did you get my
Y'all
my
like the shirt?
is huh? Oh, is that is funny. There's something going on with my computer. I've called my little sister she's a computer genius, but all my stats are in here. I've tried to see if I saved them in my Gmail, but they didn't. It's in a Word document, which when I get it, I'll send it to, are you there? There you are. And I hate doing Zoom on my phone. I mean, it's just shut down. It just won't even fire up now. It was spinning, and now I can't even get it to turn on. I thought maybe it wasn't plugged in, but it is. So I'll tell you what I'm struggling with.
Okay.
Direction. I have been working on updating my GPS and my 411. And I get so are you there?
Yep.
I get so distracted by I'll get bored. And so I'll leave my GPS and jump over to my 411, and then I decide, I need to get in. I'll get bored with that, and I'll get in command,
Okay.
and do and do command. Which I've been afraid of command. I've put some contacts in there. I've got a lot of contacts in there, but I have not been updating it. I would do 4. Last week I did 2 Facebook ads. After watching Sam's videos, I got my website set up, and I got, I told you I got KC, Keeping Current Matters,
Mm-hmm.
and I put an article on Facebook yesterday. See, I'm distracted. I'm all over the place. I talk to people, I'll do something. I'll talk to people, I'll do something else. And I'm having a hard time staying focused because it's not about fear. It's about I'm worried about what everybody's going through. And I'm struggling.
You're worried about what, like, if other people are doing okay?
Yeah, like the world.
Um,
And if they're doing what they should be doing. I
what are
want
you
this
referring to? Like a client?
no, just like to get rid of this coronavirus so we can get back to normal. It's like I want the antibody test to come out so I can get it to see if I had it, because I was very sick at the first of the year. So it's like if people would just stay home like they're supposed to, maybe we could get this gone. But I see my neighbors walking up and down the street, the kids playing, and so I just start I start
So
going
are you
down.
gonna, I'm just gonna ask you a couple of questions. Are you willing to go outside and yell at the kids to go inside?
I've yelled at the moms to get away from each other.
How did that work out?
They were like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You're too close. You're 4 feet apart. You're supposed to be 6 feet apart." They had a party one night next door. And I did go. This was the first Saturday night that it happened. They had our next door neighbor turned 40. And so we all got an invitation. I went out and I talked to her in the afternoon. I said, "I'm not coming over. I don't think it's wise." They invited kids and everybody. I said, "I don't think it's wise. We're supposed to be staying apart." Well, a little while ago, my next door neighbor heads up the street, and then all of a sudden, the one across the street is right. They're like right next to each other, walking and talking to each other. I think a lot of people aren't taking it seriously, and I get caught up in the, if everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, then this would get over with sooner.
Yeah, but you
I
can't
can't
control that.
I can't control it. It's the what ifs.
So the only thing you can control is what you do.
Yeah.
And, well, you can control a couple other things. You can also control how you interpret what you're seeing,
Yeah.
and whether you let it get to you, right? So
Right.
if you look out the window and you see a bunch of people not doing what you think they should do, quit looking out the window. Right?
Yeah.
Or just say, I'm going to need to stay away from that person.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to control, they're going to think about this differently than you are. And
Right.
you have to be super, super, super protective of your mindset right now. So
Right.
if you are tuning into the news, or you are seeing people disobey these orders or whatever, and it's getting to you and it's preventing you from being a good wife and mother and real estate agent and friend, quit.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that. Thank you very much for putting it that way. I try not to let fear get me. That Keeping Current Matters, I posted on yesterday, got a lot of responses, and it's like, don't let the headlines scare you. And I said, don't focus on the fear. What happens when you focus on the fear, it expands.
Yep.
And then I'll hear at night, on the news, like 100 to 240,000 people could die. And, I don't think it's going to be that bad. But I can't say that it's not. I just need to focus on what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And everything else is going to happen, everything else is going to happen, whether I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing or not.
That's
so
right.
Do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right, because that will give you more cushion, right?
Right.
Because you will, like, if, for example, we have to stay indoors in May also, like, if you're doing what you got to do, then you'll have more opportunities and more income, and you'll have a little bit more cushion.
Yeah.
If you don't do what you're going to do, what you need to do, then it'll be more stressful. And then your mind will look for more stress.
Right.
So let's get back to what you should be doing. I don't believe I've seen your economic model in 135, right?
No, because that's what I was, economic model, I did that, but maybe I didn't do it for you. I think I did it for Ray. I can just pull that old one out.
But basically, that's going to feed the 135, because the 135 should have on there, for example, how many appointments you need to set, or how many closings you need. So we need to cross-reference that with your 135 with your economic model. And by the way, if you did it with Ray, that was 6 months ago, and you should revisit it.
Do it. Yeah. I've been updating the 135, the GPS, and that's the 135, isn't it?
Yep,
the GPS.
Exactly.
Yeah, the 411.
So the 411 is the economic models 1, GPS is 2, 411 is 3.
411 is 3.
And without the first 2, your 411's not going to be thorough enough, or it's not going to have enough numbers on it. So if you send me your versions of that, then I will give you some feedback on those. That's really going to be the first step, because really the fourth step. So you got the economic model, the GPS, the 4-in-1, and the next thing is the calendar, right? So everything that you've determined is a priority, which is not just business stuff, by the way, personal things as well, right? Health things as well, spiritual stuff, whatever you've determined is important to you, right? If it has made its way to the 4-in-1, that is evidence that it's a priority, and therefore it needs a place to be executed into your calendar.
And if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen with you for one quick moment. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this tomorrow, but I'll share this with you ahead of time. All right, can you see my screen?
It says billing while has started. Yeah, so it's coming up. Okay.
See that?
Yep.
This is an agent schedule.
Okay.
Okay. Kids carpool, oil change, lead gen. One day it's here, one day it's there, one day it's down here, one day it's up here, one day it doesn't happen. Right? Yeah.
Right.
Haircut, open house prep, kids to the beach, maybe have this listing appointment, take the kids to school, drop off or Pilates, a closing here, bridge group, right? This is an entrepreneurial's calendar. Follow?
Yeah.
Completely
Gotcha.
random.
Correct.
Okay.
I was thinking, is this bills?
No.
Because oh my gosh.
It was at one point in my career for sure. Now this isn't. Hang on. One sec.
Okay.
What is the deal with it? Okay, this is a purposeful agent schedule.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And this is, by the way, this is just 8 to 5, or really 8 to 4:30.
Right.
Right. This isn't like.
Oh yeah.
Right, and by the way, it includes lunch. And
See, my lunch isn't on mine, but yeah, mine is very similar to this up until about 12.
Good.
Yeah.
That means you've controlled your lead gen time, right? But
that's why I have to get up and take a shot. I mean, I have to be ready. The only time I haven't had my video on is when I was driving to the post office that day to put those 25 cards, in the mail. But if I'm not dressed, even to my shoes, my head doesn't work. It doesn't. Do you understand what I'm saying?
100%. So you have to create a schedule and print it out and then live by that thing.
Yeah.
And then what you'll notice is that if it's in, like, you're not going, and it's time to generate leads or when it's time to be in command, you're doing that and nothing else.
Yeah.
And when you get distracted with one project and let command creep into it, what you're doing is you're saying, I can't control my priorities. Right.
Right.
And I can't control my calendar. That doesn't mean you don't reassess your priorities. Right.
Right.
I remember I had to teach Lee how to deal with me. Like I just give you a personal example, right? So I have, it's kind of hard to have this head. Like I got ideas going through my head like constantly.
Yeah.
And I had a tendency with the team to say, okay, can we do this? Right. And then it was just one more thing on their plate and they didn't know what to do first because I didn't always help them understand what was most important to me. And then I had to say, okay, Lee, here's what I need you to do. When I drop something on your desk unexpectedly, which will probably happen even though I tell you I won't do it, what I want you to say to me is, Bill, this sounds like a decent idea. However, which do you want me to work on this now and replace something else that you've told me is important? Or of these 6 things you're expecting me to do, which is the most important that I should be dedicating my time to right this moment?
Yeah.
And then I'd say, yeah, you're right. Right. So
Yep.
whenever you feel like something is like creeping in and should hold some priority, you have to reevaluate. You go to your 411. Hey, is learning how to do a smart plan for my database more important than getting on the phone and drumming up a lead right now? I don't know. It's probably best that you go find a lead.
Right.
Right. And so, especially now, we can't afford distractions.
Right.
Right. And so you have to be able to identify what is a distraction and what is not. Right. And I think one of the mistakes I've made in this program, which we're going to address tomorrow, is there's not enough discussion on numbers. Like
Right.
our people aren't working enough.
Right.
And they're not putting up listings and they're not putting up pendings. And it's not like I'm not driving the numbers because I want to make money. I mean, obviously I do, but if you are adding like 4 people to your database all week long, like
I did,
you're not gonna it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Like I wish it was different, but like it's not. We have to be in touch
Well,
with people.
Yeah. So that's the thing. My adding them to command doesn't mean not adding them to command doesn't mean I haven't not added them. It's just I haven't taken the time to add them. And I'm not going to say I've added them to command. So I've got a whole list of people I've got to go back and put in there that I haven't done. So
I'm more concerned with the conversation number.
Okay.
Than the people you've added to your database.
Okay.
Particularly you.
Yeah.
Right. I want to make sure that you're having conversations. I do have like a whole list of questions here, but I want to make sure that we are we cover a little bit of this. So homework. I want to see the economic model and the 135. We'll get to the 411 later. But let's start with those 2. How are we doing from a closing year-to-date standpoint?
Not very well because of what I didn't do last year. I got in a little bit of a really bad funk after my dad died, and then had to deal with a GBI investigation that is still going on. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I had communication with them this past week. Anyway, so I got into a funk and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. And I haven't had the closings that I did last year because I didn't do the work at the end of the year. So now I'm playing catch up from behind. I'm from way behind to make my numbers in the midst of this, but by gosh, I'm going to do it.
So I'm not trying to let you off the hook here, but this is a good place. This is a good time to kind of reset a little bit. Like,
right.
I'm not going to pretend to know anything about the place you have been, right?
Yeah.
And you can have a pass on all of that. The fact of the matter is you are where you are today, and you have a perfect opportunity to evaluate where you want to be and how the real estate business is going to help you get there.
Right.
Right. So I don't care what you wanted to do in 26 months ago. It's different. Let's just reevaluate it. Don't put yourself under stress.
I just put your face big. So I don't know if you could see that.
No, I can.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. Worry about how you feel about what you need to do now.
Yeah.
Right. So if now, because of the stuff you've encountered, you feel that it's important to spend, I'm just coming up with a random example. Let's say it's more important to spend more time with your kids now. So do it. No big deal. Let's just make it a priority. Right.
Okay.
And let's build whatever type of business your family needs you to build around the time that you're willing to dedicate to real estate. And don't worry about like what you put on the plan last week or 10 years ago or any of that. Let's just
Okay.
come up with a plan that's going to give you the financial resources you need to have what you want to have, and
Okay.
to focus your energies on the things that are most critical to you. Okay. But if you
Okay.
if you're a little behind because last year was tough, let's just reset.
Okay.
Right. Now, I'm not telling you to not do any work. I'm telling you to reevaluate what you need to do from a financial standpoint and what you believe is realistic based on any other demands you have on your time.
Okay.
Now, with that in mind, we can kind of come back to the units goal and the income goal, because that'll come out in the economic model.
Right.
Over the next 30 days, what is the most important thing you'd like to achieve?
I would love to get that $1 million plus buyer under contract next week.
Cool.
And I want this, I want to get this listing, the appointment that I'm going to on Thursday. I want to get it on the market within 2 weeks. There's some things that she said still have to be done. So those are my 2 priorities. Get that listing, get it on the market, and get Ishmael under contract.
Cool. What is your biggest challenge right now?
Staying focused. Like I just need to staying focused and making my calls. I want to get my calls made. I want to talk to 20 people before noon, but sometimes I'm talking to 19, 20, 21 people at 6 o'clock at night. So, and
But that's most likely because you've let other things creep in, right?
Yeah. Or I haven't gotten them the first time I called, and then they'll text me, I'll call you back. And I don't want to call them back because, I'll think if they don't call me back, I'll talk to them the next day. But I'm still finishing those calls up. I can't control them.
So
I just need to call more people.
Exactly.
Don't count on the people who say, that's what I'm doing. I'm counting when somebody texts me and says, I'll call you back. I'm waiting for them to call me back instead of continuing to call till I get to 20 people.
Right. And when they call back, let them leave a message. You're focused on what you're doing.
Yep.
Okay. What I know our call got cut a little short, where I'm going to try to make it up to you. Walk me through, do you keep a 4 conversations?
You know what? I have that. Yes, I have, but I don't use it every day. Okay. I have a laminated copy.
Beautiful. Once you're done with the economic model, you'll know how to fill this in.
Yeah.
And I want you to fill it in.
Susan gave me a laminated copy and it's on my desk. But
I want you to fill it in, and I want you to put it up on the wall somewhere where you see it every day. Because everything that you're doing is in an effort to book more appointments.
Yeah.
So that's why that's step number 1. And we need to focus on getting appointments.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me a little bit about, I do want you to think about profit share for a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
You're a very influential person in the marketplace. You are clearly communicate in a way that comes from the heart, and you would be a natural and are a natural connector. And you are, your name has come up in a number of times today, as a matter of fact, from people that are cheerleaders for Roswell and for Keller Williams and are givers in the Market Center. So that's a natural set of ingredients to be a profit share, a high profit share earner. So I'd like for you to consider if it's of interest to you, and if so, what type of commitment are you willing to give to it? Okay.
Yeah. When we were talking about the 1 hour a week, I said I was going to do that last year, and I got sidetracked. I'm going to do that 1 hour a week. I'm going to call people that I've been involved with.
Good.
And people that I know at other companies, and
that should be on your 135.
Okay.
therefore on your 411, and therefore on your calendar. So I want you to try to figure out which hour that's going to be.
Okay.
Okay. So which hour are we going to do profit share calls?
What do you suggest? Like, would that be I would think it would be an afternoon call so that I'm not interrupting other people making their, okay. And Aubrey called me today to ask me about the mentor thing.
Yep. That's one of the ways that's one of the times your name came up.
Well, thank you. And I told him I would be honored because I love helping people.
Yeah.
So I was so glad he offered me that opportunity.
I think, well, you deserve it, first of all. I need to hop on this leadership call, but I want to make sure you heard something earlier. This business, you get to control how much it stresses you out.
Yep.
You know, and you have been through a lot, right? Yet you have a great support system. From a market center standpoint, I don't know a whole lot beyond that, but you know, you get to decide how you're going to spend each day and each minute, and don't get too sidetracked with what you've done in the past or how you had to spend your hours last year and these kind of things. This is a good reset time. So focus on the things that are most critical to you. I mean, I would encourage you and Carrie to sit down and do some dreaming, right? Like what does the ideal life look like? Like in a perfect world, how much money would my business make and how much time would I have to spend making it?
Okay.
And then we're going to craft our goals and our plan around that, right?
Yep.
We say God, family, and then business, right?
Yeah.
So don't forget to talk to the family about how your world fits into the big world.
Yeah. Okay.
Quit paying attention to these people that are not.
I know. That's what
rules.
I know. I've been sitting in my dining room and looking out the window, and all of this is distracting me. And I need to go upstairs to my office and not open that window and watch what's going on outside, and only control what I control. And that's me and the conversations I have. That's all.
Well, this has been a great meeting.
Yep. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Yep.
Bye.